Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ansary Entrepreneurship Competition Awards session. What a great way to end such a fabulous day here. I'm just going to go over some technical details. From 4 to 5, we'll have an introduction to the Ansary Entrepreneurship Competition. We'll review some of the competition finalists and have the anticipated Q&A with our finalist judges. Then we will announce the competition awards at 5 o'clock. So you may use the Q&A tool to submit questions you may have. We'll be trying to collect them and answer them, time committing, in that 4 to 5 o'clock hour. Both the chat and the raise hand features are disabled during this webinar, and we are recording it in case you were late or are unable to stay for the ending. So. And with that, I'd love to introduce our Master of Ceremonies. Aaron is joining us. He's currently the CEO of Tech United, and I think Aaron has been doing this as long as I have been involved with the Innovation Expo. I don't even know how many years anymore. I think I've lost count. So it's always great to see Aaron. I feel like I have to see you more annually than this next year for sure. We'll see each other besides at this competition. But thank you so much for joining us.
It's nice to see you, and thank you for having me back. I don't think I knew what I was signing up for that first year.
Lifelong commitment. That's what it is.
Apparently, but it's really a pleasure to join you and to be part of this competition. I say it every year, and I mean it every year. It's an incredibly impressive group, and the projects are very impressive, and I'm proud to be associated with it. So thanks again for having me. Are we ready to move along, or do you want to wait a moment? We're ready to move along. Yes? Okay. Dr. Brevard, nice to see you. Thanks again for having me. Really appreciate it. You know, at our events, typically we end with the high five, but I feel like you've had a long week here with this competition. So with all of you on screen, we're going to start with the high five your camera on the count of 3. High five the camera. 1, 2, 3. Boom. There you go. Congratulations to all of you who have been part of this competition and the finalists. Really looking forward to learning more about each of your projects, getting to know the judges, and ultimately crowning the winner. But before we get into that, let me just share a little bit more about the Ansary Foundation. They've been very generous in putting together the prize for this competition now for many years. The foundation supports education, entrepreneurship, and other philanthropic causes established by Sai and Jan Ansary in 1983 to support educational opportunities for promising and economically disadvantaged students, and to promote interest of teaching entrepreneurship and business concepts. They originally funded the program in 2016 and then actually set up an endowment to support the competition and the prizes in 2018. I know that Stevens is extremely appreciative of their support. And as someone who also runs competitions like this, I know how important this kind of support is, and really appreciate the support here. So let me tell you a little bit about this competition. Sandra, I'm going to ask you about kind of how we got to this place, right? So when did this competition begin?
So for the engineering students, we have a course that kind of ushers them through this competition, and it starts right in the fall. But I think real preparation starts really in January. In all of the students that compete, they start working on their business models and practice pitches. But we had quarterfinal competitions around in class around April 16th. Then we had a week-long semifinal, and then we moved to the final. So it kind of, it's pretty much the whole month of April, I would say.
And I want to be clear, 145 teams from various schools, right? Engineering, business, computer science, and college and arts and letters. Did you see, as this competition has evolved, are you seeing more engagement from the various disciplines around the school?
Definitely. We had some strong contenders from computer science this year. We had an amazing student from Cal that presented and did a pitch this year on this coconut fiber sound buffering material. So that was really exciting too, to see some opportunities there. We'd love to get more Cal students and more computer science students to enter into the competition. So we've definitely seen it grow a lot in the last, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years, and our population is getting bigger too. So.
And when we started, I could be wrong, but I don't believe there was a cash prize, or maybe not as much of a cash prize. But this year they're competing for the Ansary prizes for entrepreneurship, totaling $17,500. What's the breakdown of the pricing here?
Sure. The first prize is $10,000. The second prize is $5,000 and the third prize is $2,500.
Pretty fantastic. And especially for students, that goes an extra long way, which is great. So so teams advanced from that quarterfinal round. How many advanced to the semifinals, which was just, less than 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, the semifinals, we had 42 teams. So I think Matt corralled something like 15 judges. Is that right? 15 judges for the semifinal round. And then they were kind of put in heats of 14 teams each, and the top 4 moved on. That's kind of how we got to the top 12. We were aiming for the top 10, but top 12 worked out a little bit better math-wise.
Sometimes you just have 2 very strong teams you want to also include. So that's great. And that's a sign of progress. And so those were progressed to the final round, which were shared with the judges just this past week, right?
Yes.
So in COVID times, how do you communicate with the judges, and how were they able to collaborate with the student teams?
Sure. We learned a lot last year and throughout this whole year, but for the semifinal round, which was, 42 teams, we organized everybody in Slack. Everybody had designated channels. The judges were able to communicate to the teams within Slack. And once all the students were entered into Slack, it was a very easy mechanism. Getting 42 teams with 160 people, into Slack is a Herculean task, but we had a great student helping us organize the competition to get them all in. So the students, we collected YouTube videos. They were hosted on a YouTube channel. The judges were given the YouTube links. They could connect with the teams in Slack to ask questions. Very regimented process. They had from this day to this day to watch the videos. So we had to make sure we were adhering to all the timelines. The students had all day Wednesday to answer questions. Wednesdays traditionally, students have a lighter academic load, so that they have a little bit of time to kind of dedicate it to it. And then the judges used a Google form to score the projects, and that was repeated in the finals. We did the same process with the finals, just different set of judges and the top 12.
And for those who are with us here today, who are interested in seeing all of the finalist videos, can you share where they can be uncovered?
Yeah, they're actually, the Stevens Expo website, stevens.edu/expo, has a link there to all the 12 finalists that we had. And the finalist videos are also in our virtual platform. If you haven't, maybe you got to this webinar through that platform. So the finalists each have a profile page there, and you can watch the videos directly in the app as well.
Excellent. So let's talk about the breakdown of the finalists. Can you share, I know that there were, of these 12 finalists, several schools represented. So can you go through the breakdown of where the finalists, from where the finalists came?
Yeah, we actually had a very strong, contingent from chemical engineering this year. And I actually just invited 2 students to come and talk to us a little bit about the chemical engineering finalists that we had. But we definitely had chemical engineering, electrical engineering, biomedical engineering, mechanical engineering, and optical concentration team, which is really exciting. It's the first year they're kind of graduating. So we tried to get some of the students in to talk about their projects during this session. So I think I just got both Grant and Dom in, if they could probably talk a little bit about the breakdown of the finalists and maybe about their project, if that's okay.
Let's do it. I believe we're waiting for them to be promoted as panelists. Is that right, Sandra?
They're in. I think they just got to turn their screens on. Actually, I see Dom. Hey, how are you?
Hi, how you doing? I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for kind of joining us. I know I made the request pretty last minute this morning, but I figured you were up for the task. And hey, Grant, how are you?
Hi, Professor. Can you see me? I can't even see myself, so I want to make sure I'm doing this right. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. That's great.
Yeah, you're looking sharp.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so these are 2 representatives from chemical engineering. We actually had, I think, 4 chemical engineering projects in the finals this year. Grant's from the benzene recovery project, and Dom's from the hydrogen fuel cell team. I think we have little slides about each of these teams we can we can use too to kind of, if everybody at home can read them too. But do you want to introduce your project, Grant? Or
Cool. Yeah, that's fine. So we are SBRP, Stevens Benzene Recovery Project, with myself, Matt Hammonds, Julia Panko, and Taylor Shad. And what we did was we created a process in which crude oil from oil and gas facilities can be refined and then repurposed to produce byproducts that can be sold at a really high conversion rate and for an extreme profit. We got the idea from the American Institute of Chemical Engineering's problem that they put out every single year. We took the idea and then realized that we could repurpose it at multiple refineries, toppings refineries all over the world. So that's really our goal, is to continue this further and see how this project can grow into something bigger and better. So yeah, that's what we are.
So my name is Dominic Delantoni. I'm with the hydrogen fuel cell with my colleagues Zachary Hacklander, Christopher Kondratowicz, Ralph Caranta-Tre, and Eric Pino. What we're trying to do is we're taking fuel cells and we're making them much more efficient in a few ways, manipulating the geometry, housing structures that go around the fuel cell. And we also designed a process to make hydrogen for the cell. We're taking a bacteria called Thermatoga neapolitana. We're throwing into a chemical process and we're getting out hydrogen. The big application for what we're using these hydrogen fuel cells for is drones. Drones is really an exploding industry right now. A lot of drones are used for surveying, nonetheless recreational. So yeah, that's our project.
If you guys want, I could talk about biosolids to energy if you'd like as well. I went on and had a little meeting with my friend Nick, who is one of their members. So biosolids to energy has created a gasification process specifically tailored for wastewater byproducts. It allows wastewater treatment plants to generate their own energy and promote green initiatives while saving the high cost of biosludge removal. And then Dom, if you want to take P2P.
Sure. I reached out to two members of P2P, Mokum and Jerome. Great guys, by the way. The P2P team resolves issues with the establishment of a cyclic chemical recycling process targeting PET, the most widespread plastic used today. The process focuses on breaking down PET into its fundamental building blocks and using these to synthesize new plastics. The ultimate goal of P2P is to provide a viable alternative to existing plastic production and reduce the burden of increasing plastic use on the environment, creating more sustainable world, one bottle at a time. Yeah, so what they're doing is they're taking bottles, they're decomposing the bottles into its elementary forms, and they're using that elementary form to be used elsewhere. Very interesting project.
Before we move on, I wonder if either of you could share very briefly one bit of advice for others who might be part of this competition in the future. What do you think made these stand out? Grant, I'll start with you.
Well, just like speaking to the chemical engineering department as a whole, we're a pretty competitive group, this senior class. I mean, we've been through it all together. I mean, besides the pandemic, every test, every assignment, just kind of like grinding through. So we kind of took that towards the competition as well. Just obviously not trying to one up each other in a healthy competitive way. So just my only advice would just be driven, be direct, and know what you're doing. Would definitely be my advice for that.
Good answer. Dom?
Yeah, honestly, I agree with Grant. Chemical engineering, well, I'm going to speak for myself at least. It's a pretty difficult topic sometimes. There's a few classes I took, and I'm just sitting there and I'm like, what's going on here? So my advice to, chemies coming up is, don't be afraid to ask your old professors questions that you were too afraid to ask originally. Don't be afraid to explore different topics around chemical engineering. And yeah, I mean, that's really it. Just be brave, do what you need to do, and excel.
Also good advice. I wasn't aware that they were called chemies, but I might start using that from here on out. And Dr. Farvardin, maybe we can get Grant a real closet at some point. I think that might be beneficial. So let's move on to Tulip and Hip Tip.
Yes.
Sandra, I think you and I are going to talk about these, correct?
Yes.
Can you share a bit about Tulip?
Sure. These biomedical engineering projects are always very strong. Everybody loves the healthcare applications, but Tulip was actually created by, for first-time moms by a first-time mom. And, they're looking at breastfeeding trainers, and they have a really interesting, cool product that will help moms practice proper latching techniques when they're breastfeeding. It's been a little bit since I breastfed my own daughter, but definitely it's a very hard time, I think, in a lot of women's lives. And it's so nice that they're making some strides to really help first-time mothers with such an important bonding experience with their babies.
This is definitely an industry that's seen a lot of interesting venture capital and seems to be primed for growth, empowered by technology. And Hip Tip?
Yes, so Hip Tip is a surgical planning tool for hip replacement surgery. And they use like 3D dental scanner, and they have an analysis algorithm to determine the femoral offset. So it's a pretty neat project as well. Hip surgery, I know quite a few people who have had hip surgery, feel like it's getting, as the populations are aging, our knees, all of our joints are wearing out, knees, hips, unfortunately. So it's great to see.
Sandra, I haven't seen you in a while, but I don't think you've aged at some ridiculous rate in the pandemic. And I hope that your hips and knees are not already going.
No, so far so good. So far
good.
So good, but you got to use them. Otherwise you lose them, I hear.
This is true. Excellent. And so I understand we have Alexis from UView, correct? To talk about the next project.
Perfect. I just promoted her, so I think she's gonna jump on here. And figured.
Hello.
Hi, Alexis.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you? I hope my connection's okay. There's an internet outage in my area, so I'm on my phone's hotspot. So hopefully everything feeds through pretty well.
Doing great. Can you tell us about UView?
Yeah, of course. So UView is comprised of the two single senior optical engineers, myself and my partner, Dolores Termini, and our professor, obviously, Professor Rainer Martini. He's been a huge throughout this whole journey. So basically, UView is a combination of a predictive algorithm quiz with a new updated sliding lens design to combat the traditional modern phoropter system, which for those of you that don't know what a phoropter is, it's that big machine that optometrists put in front of your eyes to test lens prescription to when you're getting glasses. That system has not been updated since its invention in 1918, and it's very outdated use of technology and very mechanical and not as accurate as it could be. So the big problem that we found was that human eyes can see down to the 10th diopter steps when the current phoropter systems only measure in quarter diopter steps. And there are some more modern
Unfortunately, Alexis, if you're able to hear us, Sandra, you might need to mute her, unfortunately. There we go. Maybe drop her a chat to let her know that we had to mute her for a moment.
For sure.
We're still getting some residual audio there. I think it's all come through, but really impressive set of companies and projects so far, and it's great to hear from the students who've been involved directly. Is it just me, Sandra, or are you still hearing her?
I still hear her too. I feel bad because it's such a cool project.
It is cool. This is a first for me in Zoom, having someone muted and their audio still coming in. I'm not quite sure what to do about that, but hopefully we'll lose it momentarily.
Yeah.
Smooth. I know that there are a few other very interesting projects here that we want to spend a moment on. Can you share a bit about, and I believe this is just between the two of us, is that right? Or do we have other members of the team to join us?
These are between the two of us.
Okay, great. Can you share a bit, you know much about live logging, you share a bit about their project?
Yeah, actually, I got to know Izzy pretty well. She was in a class of mine last spring and had this idea. And, I think concussion is something that a lot of the students can relate to with all the sports that they're playing. Head injuries and head wounds are, really hard to kind of diagnose and stuff. So they're offering sort of an assessment-based, solution so that you can monitor your progress after having a concussion. They use like eye training stuff, and you can look at the they can monitor it over a computer to see like how your brain's functioning and how well you're healing after a concussion. I think they would explain it a lot better than me. They had lots of practice explaining it, but it's a really cool project from the ECE department, and it's really nice to see how varied the projects are from the ECE department. I mean, they have projects in healthcare, they have projects for defense. It's really cool to see just the wide applications that the integration of hardware and software can create.
Absolutely. And Beatbot.
Yes, this project is really cool. It's looking at autonomous subterranean reconnaissance robots. So the Department of Defense is really interested in these types of projects, and how can these robots gain information and intelligence in subterranean environments, to help protect our soldiers. So it's a really cool project. And once again, in ECE, so you can see just the broad applications in that department.
It may be worth mentioning, and perhaps we'll have Judith Sheff mention this later. She's one of our judges. There are funding opportunities, basically grants available for federal projects, things like this, that people should be aware of, especially if they're interested in pursuing some of these things. But we'll get to that later. Moving on to Green Thumb.
Yeah, maybe they could save all of my plants. But this is another electrical computer engineering project that is looking at an automated system that can help you grow plants by automating and using machine learning to determine how much water your plants need and when to water them. So they're kind of making smart gardening software and hardware. So it's really cool project here too.
Excellent. If anyone has ever checked, we recently got something called the Lettuce Grow, which is a self-contained growing unit that I would highly recommend, that Green Thumb hopefully knows about. But it's made me a fantastic grower of lots of things we can eat. We're having a salad tonight from our lettuce grow. But anyway, I don't mean to divert us. Moving on, we have some sustainability projects, correct?
Yeah, so this one from the Chemical Engineering Department is a solar distilling device. So to have clean portable water all over the world. Water is one of the hardest commodities in some countries. Even if you're surrounded by water, it's still not drinkable. So it's a really neat project here from Mechanical Engineering Department. And I think our last project, we do have a student that's going to join us. Let me get him in here. Jacob, let me find him, sorry.
No problem.
Got him. Hey, Jacob.
Howdy, all. Hopefully I have better audio quality than Alexis did.
Definitely.
All right, great.
Tell us a bit about Nectar.
Sure. So we built a comprehensive real estate development software. It handles everything from breaking ground through turning a profit. We really focused on trying to create a product that a developer could use throughout the entire life cycle of a project. So we handle zoning laws and management of costs all the way through the investment.
And what's been your experience with this competition this year? Any advice that you might share?
It's been great, honestly. We spent a lot of time together, I think is the biggest thing. Oftentimes on the weekends, we'd have hackathons where we'd all get together, chat and code for some time. And we became really good friends. And I think that helped us a lot to mesh and build a better product.
Excellent. Well, good luck in the competition.
Thank you.
So Sandra, clearly the judges have their work cut out for them in these very impressive projects. And so for this next segment, we're going to bring on the judges and hear about their experiences, get to know them a bit, and hear about what they thought of some of these companies. And so as you unmute yourself, I'll ask that you also introduce yourself and share a bit about your experience. We'll start in order here. Stephen Crouch.
Yeah, so I graduated from Stevens in 2010 in physics, ended up out west, and in 2016 founded Blackmore in Bozeman, Montana. We were acquired in 2019 by Aurora, and still with Aurora, working in the autonomous vehicle space. So that's me.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us. Brian Donahue.
Hey, I'm Brian, class of 2011 computer science, and worked in startup for 10 years out of college, different startups. The most recent one I was running was called Instapaper, which we sold to Pinterest about 5 years ago, and still at Pinterest today. I lead all the product engineering teams at Pinterest.
Good to see you, Brian. Angie Hankins.
Hi, I'm Angie. I'm class of 1995. After college, I went to law school and I started out practicing as a patent attorney. For the past 6 years, I've been working at Samsung Strategy and Innovation Center. I'm the general counsel there. And one component of our business is investment. So in the past 5 years, we've done over $300 million of investments in startup companies. I'm mostly on the legal side, but I do get to meet some of the innovators, and I deal a lot with the CFOs, and I work hand in hand with the investment team. So I do have an idea of what they look for when they decide to invest in a startup company.
Well, then we're going to have to ask you, what do they look for when they decide to invest in a startup company?
Do you want me to answer that right now?
I was going to, but you got me excited. We'll come back to that question.
I'll come back to that. We'll come back to that.
I know people want to know how to get Samsung's money. Okay, Giuseppe Ansary.
Hi, everyone. My name is Giuseppe Ansary, class of 2004. Currently, I'm the CEO of a company named SiteTracker. And this competition really resonates with me because SiteTracker, we've raised 3 rounds of financing and just short of $100 million. So we're a software platform that helps companies deploy physical assets. Prior to that, I worked in financial services for a while and had a couple other startups, but really enjoyed the competition and then the work everyone's done.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us. Laura Paglione.
Hi, I'm Laura. I'm class of 1990, and I got my introduction to entrepreneurship while I was at Stevens in engineering management. Since then, I've been in a bunch of different industries, did some work in computer science and in business, and eventually went to the Kauffman Foundation, which is a private foundation that supports entrepreneurship and education. But some of my biggest work was in social enterprises, so in startups that are in the social space. And the largest one was in research infrastructure, a global company that ended up growing super fast. So that was a lot of fun.
Excellent. Thanks for being here. Winslow Sargent.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here. Always great to be around smart people and seeing so much innovation that's taking place. Winslow Sargent, my background is I'm a friend of Stevens. I am a double E, so it does my heart well when I see technologies coming out of the electrical engineering department. I've been an entrepreneur. I've spent some time at the National Science Foundation as a program manager with the SBIR program. I've spent some time as a venture capitalist, investing in software and in healthcare. I've served within the Obama administration as the chief counsel for advocacy, where I oversaw all 30 million small businesses in the country. I was an advocate, and I now invest in technology companies, and so I guess that I do everything. But it's good to be part of the competition.
Excellent. Judith Sheft.
Sure, thanks. Hi everyone. Like Winslow, I am a friend of Stevens. I wish I could say I had graduated from Stevens. We'll have to see whether or not I can still slip in perhaps to some of the programs, because looking at all the great work that the students did, I really wish I had been able to go to Stevens. I'm currently the executive director of the New Jersey Commission on Science, Innovation, and Technology. And we work to support really early stage innovation-based life sciences and tech companies. We've got different grant programs that I can talk about a little bit later, as well as support and connections to help companies grow and develop. And one of the other key areas that we focus on, which is why this competition was really so exciting for me, is we're looking to be able to help universities commercialize innovations that have been developed at the university, so that we can take all of that great work that's being done with our students and our faculty and turn that into profitable businesses.
Excellent. Thanks for being here. Rita Soni.
Hi, everyone. So I graduated in '92, a long time ago, also a double E, and I could relate to Dom's description of his classes of a lot of challenge at Stevens, but I have had this amazing journey, a crooked path, but an amazing journey of going from engineering to manufacturing to finance, then to the nonprofit world. And now I'm bringing both worlds together with really leading the charge in technology for good. I've just joined the Everest Group, researching impact sourcing and sustainability. So many of the projects just touched my heart, and I'm thrilled that this many years later, you can make that leap straight away at Stevens instead of the many-year journey that I've had.
I think everyone has a crooked path. I think that's just called the path. Monica Valenzuela.
Hello, thank you for having me here. I really enjoyed reviewing all these wonderful projects. I have a background in business development and business strategy. I moved to New Jersey 3 years ago. I'm originally from Barcelona, Spain, where I work for the Economic Development Authority of the City Council, and currently I'm working for the Economic Development Authority of New Jersey, the EDA. Apart from promoting the EDA's offerings, I work as a venture officer in the technology and life science investments, and I'm leading an accelerator program. It's called New Jersey Accelerate, that is designed to grow the innovation ecosystem in New Jersey by promoting greater participation of New Jersey entrepreneurs in qualified accelerator programs. And thank you.
Excellent. We certainly need more of those. And lastly, Mark Lewis Valimar.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am not a graduate of Stevens, but I spend a lot of time on the campus, at least I used to until COVID, as I walked my dog in the morning and often saw an airman with his dog. So my background is in accounting. I'm a CPA. I got into the real estate field 40 some odd years ago, primarily in Hudson County, and I'm currently doing major developments in Hoboken, where I'm involving Stevens students on a number of levels. And I was very pleased to see the level of entrepreneurship and intelligence that these panelists showed. I'm not a particular believer in everybody who participates getting a prize, but I think everybody who participated, at least in the ones I was judged for, deserve to be recognized for their accomplishments.
Excellent. I having seen them, I would echo those thoughts. So we're going to do some general Q&A with the judges. I'm keeping an eye on the chat, and I see as well in the Q&A section in Zoom. So we'll try to weave those questions in as we go. So if you have something that you'd like me to add, please do share it, and I'll try to work it in. But I want to start with, in pandemic times, how has that changed your view on the applicants, and which of these companies do you think are set up for potential long-term real commercial success? And I will just call on some of you, but I would welcome you to just jump in. Brian.
May I start? I
think,
you
can. You may. You saved Brian.
When I was in graduate school, I did a team project like this involving recycling. And when I saw the level of accomplishments from the P2P group and how well they defined and expressed the possible solution to a really serious problem worldwide, which is the amount of plastics in the environment, I have to say they far surpassed my group when I was in school. So I thought they have certain relevance, not necessarily to the pandemic, but certainly for the day we live in.
There are a variety of questions around fundraising. And so Giuseppe, there was one for you around any advice on the most effective way to fundraise.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Sandra, would you mind stopping the share during this portion so we can see people a little larger, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think, you know, two things. It is ultimately, you know, a volume game where you don't have one meeting and leave with a check. So I think, you know, the first piece of advice would be, you know, have a big breakfast, you know, get some good sleep and be ready to hit the road and have a lot of meetings. And I think what folks sometimes forget to do after they pitch is ask for feedback. So I think there's a really big opportunity to, you know, walk someone through your idea, ask them for feedback, and, you know, you're learning something from every meeting, right? And you're gonna need that resilience, and you'll probably get a lot of no's. But that's part of it, right? The other thing I would do is like find a friend who's been successful so they could tell you about all the times they heard no. It makes you feel better, you know, that, hey, if this person heard no 100 times and then, you know, raised some money, it'll help you get through it. But definitely use your network, you know, to just learn from others. But I think, you know, taking something from each meeting that makes you better for the next is a big part of it. That's some advice that I would give.
Rita, you have something to add there?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, actually building on something you said earlier about grants. I think actually all of the projects that came to us have the potential to go to scale and become reality. And I think the idea of looking at the grants that are out there, the accelerator programs, there's right now, there's just such a great ecosystem for entrepreneurship, and particularly for those that are being innovative and using technology to solve all of these challenges. So I just encourage any of the students that see these projects going to fruition to explore that.
You know, I'm a little off script here. I didn't have a chance, or I failed to fully introduce myself in the beginning. I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. Ran the New Jersey Tech Meetup in cooperation with Stevens, which inspired something called the 8,000 person Propelify Innovation Festival, which got acquired by New Jersey Tech Council that we've rebranded as Tech United New Jersey, which I share because I have an interest in the New Jersey ecosystem. And there are several of us around the screen here who do. And to your point around the fantastic ecosystem in entrepreneurship in general, which I would wholeheartedly agree with, we do have a struggle in keeping entrepreneurs in the state. There are two on screen here that we've lost outside of the state. It's our number one export. So I am curious if you know what you would suggest to those who might be considering, and I'm going to go, Judith, to you and maybe Monica as well, what we could do to get some of these projects as they mature to real commercialization to stay local. Judith, I'll start with you.
Sure. So, so thanks for that question, Aaron. I think New Jersey really has a great set of resources, which should make it a great place for companies to start and grow their business. We've got a number of technology business incubators located throughout the state. They're part of the program NJ Ignite, in which case companies are going to be able to get some rent subsidy support when they move into those approved facilities in the state. We've got lots of college graduates, coming from schools like Stevens and NJIT and Rutgers and Princeton, so that there's a lot of great talent that companies are going to be able to draw on coming into the state. I think one of the things that we're going to be seeing from a federal level is, Biden's new infrastructure plan has a lot more money going towards research and development, which means, to the point, about grants, there's going to be an opportunity to get some additional federal grant dollars that are great resources for startup companies because it doesn't dilute the capital, doesn't dilute your equity potential in your business. The SBIR STTR program that you made reference to a little bit earlier, they give out $3 billion of funding on an annual basis. And with more money being promoted by the federal level, I anticipate that that's going to be higher. My commission, the Commission on Science, Innovation, and Technology, makes some matching grants to companies who go after those types of federal dollars. And I'm happy to talk to any of the student teams about how we can help you see about connecting to get the resources to apply for those federal programs.
Appreciate that. Meanwhile, Monica, while there are several business incubators around the state, there actually are, with the pause of Newark Venture Partners financial program, there are none that provide real financial investment. So I'm curious, and I promise we'll move on from the New Jersey topic momentarily, but I think this is worthwhile for this audience. What do you think that can be done to attract additional capital and accelerators in particular to the state?
Well, you're right. So, for example, with Accelerate, what we are doing is we are trying to partner with best-in-class accelerators in the US, in all the US, and we are providing a sponsorship grant if they come to New Jersey to do an event. An event that it can be the demo day of their cohorts, or it can be a networking event, or so. Apart from the sponsorship grant, we are trying, to have conversations with these accelerators, and hopefully we can attract some of them to come to New Jersey. But there are incubators, and there are also lots of co-working spaces that I think for new startups, it's a good place to go and try to network as much as possible.
And I appreciate the work there, and hopefully we'll see some of those accelerators show up. Tech United actually will be launching a funded accelerator next year, so keep an eye on that. Laura, let's go back to these projects. Which one of these projects stood out to you the most as something that you thought was the most promising, or that you were most personally interested in?
There's so many. I actually really enjoyed the innovation of tulips, because I know that it is something that lots of women struggle with, and I like the idea that they use their own experiences to identify a problem, and then to use their engineering background to develop a solution for it, and then find a solution that fits in a very commercial space. So I applaud them on that approach.
Angie, we talked before about attracting the interest of a Samsung, which I am curious of the follow-up on, but also what do you think worked best for the students in their pitch process? Because I believe there's a very strong difference between the actual product or service and the ability to communicate in a compelling way why that product or service is interesting. And so I'm wondering what you found were effective strategies that you saw from some of the teams.
Well, I thought that them addressing the need right away, like what their product did and how it addressed some market need, because that's one of the key things we look at Samsung, is whether the product or technology is addressing an immediate need in the market. And one of the other things, is to talk, and this is one thing that I thought that they didn't address, was the strength of their team. Like when we're investing in a company, we're looking at the people that are leading the team and their track record, their ability to bring the product or the technology to fruition. So I think they introduced their team, but they could have gone more into discussing the background of their teammates and what made them specifically well-positioned to bring the technology forward. And then I think they all did a good job about asking for the ask. And I don't remember which team. One team specifically addressed specific judges and said, "We need you." And they named them to help them along the way. I thought that was a really effective strategy or approach.
Knowing and recognizing your audience, I think, is a very important part of the deal.
Yeah.
Brian, you were almost off the hook before, but I'm back. What stood out to you? Where'd you go? You bounced around the screen. There you are. What stood out to you from the projects this year, and which did you think was the most compelling?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Aaron, and good to see you again. So I think, like, from an opportunity size perspective, P2P really stood out. I think Mark kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but just this plastic recycling problem is sort of like a global issue. And I think in particular, when you consider like the microplastics that are created from the degradation of plastics that are not recycled and the impact on the ocean and whatnot. It just seems like I could see this being like a huge scale business, and not to say none of the others aren't, but it really is like a global issue. Another one that really stood out was, I think, Tulip, just in terms of the very closeness to the problem and kind of the passion you see behind that. I think a lot of the best companies are started by entrepreneurs who are the customers and know the pain point intimately and can kind of build products around that. There were a lot of other great ones. In particular, software has a big place in my heart. So really enjoyed the Nectar project and UView, which are more kind of pure software plays.
So we had a question from the audience from Lainey, who asked, for those who have worked with entrepreneurs, is there a common background or education that these folks share? Any surprises who you end up working with? I apologize for forgetting, but who was at the Kauffman Foundation? Yeah, Laura, do you have any insight on this?
I mean, it's not really a background or an education. It's more of a personality, or there's something about the grit and the resilience of somebody who comes in and understands that they're exploring a space that doesn't have the answers, that they need to invent the answers, and they need to kind of do that with a sense of fearlessness. I mean, calculated fearlessness, but a sense of fearlessness where they can try something new, understanding that they may fail with it and being okay with that. And then when they fail, because they will, there will be times that they fail, that they pick themselves up and learn from the experience, ask questions from people who can help them, and then move forward with it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more about the inevitable failure that comes. That's just the path. That is in some ways the crooked path we talked about before. That is just the way it goes. And I would agree wholeheartedly that it's about absolute determination of figuring out how to make something work when others don't see a path. Stephen, we had some questions about people looking for advice in entering the workforce on graduating, which I thought was a little unfortunate, because I was hoping whoever asked that question kind of wanted to start this company, and that was their entree into the workforce. But let's say they decide not to pursue this project. Any thoughts or guidance you'd share as a somewhat more recent graduate?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd say, when you take your first job, a lot of folks will kind of take an attitude that they're going to have to stay there forever. But just to know that it's okay to move around and try different things as you get into the workforce. And maybe to your point, Aaron, about, trying to see more people excited about starting companies versus going into the workforce. Certainly every job you have is an opportunity to learn what's good and bad about different company cultures, just different processes. And so it's okay to take notes and look around and say, like, that's working, that's not working. When I start my company, what am I going to try to reflect that's positive here? So that'd be the advice I have.
I may have need to redirect this question because I don't see Winslow on the screen anymore. Did we lose him, Sandra? No. Okay. Well, hopefully he's here. I just don't see him. A similar question on the career path, because you had a variety of interesting experiences in your career, and I'm wondering, sometimes the path is, I would say always the path is not obvious, but I'm curious also from your point of view, what you believe is good advice for those entering the workforce. He has left. Okay, well, I'll take the same question and throw it to you, Mark.
I entered the workforce so long ago, I have to say that it may not be relevant anymore. But what I thought was most important in my career path was the ability to see different companies in different levels of sophistication. I was an auditor for Price Waterhouse, so that was a normal part of the work I did, and I included some companies that were in engineering. I recall auditing a company that was one of the first producers of liquid crystals, which you all take for granted, but there were only 2 companies then that manufactured liquid crystals, which are so prevalent today in everything. The watches on your wrist, the keyboards, the screens, and so many other things in the world. But that kind of experience gave me the ability to, when I left Price Waterhouse, to find a path that gave me job satisfaction, which to me is really the most important objective. If you're going to spend the rest of your life earning a living, which you necessarily have to do probably, you should do so in a way that is not something that you don't want to do, that you find is a burden. And I've been blessed in that. I've always had work that I found engaging and challenging. Not to say there aren't bad days and bad times, but that is really more significant than the paycheck amount and things of that sort.
Can I add something?
Oh, go ahead. Yes, please.
Yeah, I think it would be good also for graduating students that as they enter the workforce to find a good mentor or a person that they can trust and ask for guidance, ask to receive feedback so they can learn about their areas of improvement. And I also think that it's not only about knowledge. I think it's about having the right attitude and the willingness to learn and to give the best of them. And it's also very important to be able to collaborate with others. That's what I would say to them.
Totally agree. And I would add that, especially if I'm not sure how long you get to keep your .edu address, but the .edu is your friend. You can cold email people and they are more likely to respond to you because they want to help a student. So it's harder to obviously at current times to meet people in person, but if you were to follow up with some of the judges, even if you get a 1 out of 10 hit rate, a 1 out of 100 hit rate, which I've had happen many, many, many times, that's the pathway to success. But reach out to people and leverage the willingness of many to mentor. Giuseppe, we had a lot of people who are curious about funding, and I want to come back to that. Obviously, I think you mentioned you raised $100 million. And so what did you find to be the most compelling part? I talked before about the separation of the product and service from the actual storytelling. And I've found that my experience has been the goal of the meeting is to get the next meeting. It's not to get the check. If you try to get the check, you tend to get advice. If you try to just keep things compelling, eventually an offer comes in. So I'm curious from your point of view, as we've had a lot of questions about fundraising, what did you find? How did you get from get the next meeting to closing the round?
Yeah, a couple of points. I think we really focused on our differentiation. I think, the person on the other side of the table, has 30 minutes to an hour to understand something you spend an unbelievable amount of time on, and that's a really hard thing to do. So I think in the limited amount of time, we try to make it clear, this is a good market. Here's why we're different. And also here's why we're uniquely suited to win with this approach. So I think, that is something that worked for us. The other thing is if there's a way to sneak in a customer prior to fundraising, even if you're giving your product away, or even if it feels more like research, I think that's something to evaluate. And in software, it's easier than maybe some of the other ideas. But that's what I would focus on is hey, we're differentiated. This is a good market. We're uniquely suited to execute. And oh, by the way, we've given this away for a couple people, and here are the results they're having. It's really promising. So that's the way we did it. And I completely agree with just staying in the fight and kind of trying to get the next meeting and just kind of clawing your way forward inch by inch.
Angie, from your point of view, when you see these companies come into and sometimes go through an M&A process with a company like Samsung, when are they, and I appreciate we're getting close on time here, so we're going to wrap up shortly. When are they most effective as a culture fit and a product or service fit? And when do you see these deals fall apart?
So I think in getting an investment from Samsung, the most important thing is that there must be a fit for their technology within Samsung. And I'll say that Samsung is a huge company and we make a lot of products. And I think you need to do your homework and know where you can slot in, because everything that we do is about synergy. Right now we're focused on our semiconductor business, our device solutions business. And so that's my particular fund that I'm working with right now. But there are multiple Samsung funds. There's the Samsung Catalyst Fund, which I work with. There's the Samsung Next Fund and the Samsung Ventures Fund. And all of them have different areas that they're looking at. Samsung Next is mostly looking at software for the consumer electronics business, the mobile business. So it's important to know how you can work with Samsung. And then the other thing is Samsung is very much interested in data. So they want to see projections. They want to understand what your roadmap is. So be prepared for lots of questions. There's always a lot of back and forth with us, but once we make a decision, then we move forward relatively quickly.
So, maybe to wrap up here, Brian, the fantastic headline of Instapaper getting acquired by Pinterest. So I'm going to put you on the spot here. I'm wondering, what was the best part of that experience and what was the worst part of that experience?
I would say the best part was just getting the deal done, because there was like a very quiet period between the stress of that and the stress of the announcement. Like maybe 1 week we had, which was great. It felt like a huge accomplishment. The worst
Was there
part
a moment
was
that you thought the whole thing was going to fall apart?
many.
Yeah,
many.
I wanted to reiterate that part. Keep going.
Many. Even up to the end. So, and then prior to that, Pinterest was not the first company or the first round of companies we'd spoken with about the M&A, and we had a signed letter of intent to purchase the company with a large media company in New York, and they pulled out on week 6 of like an 8-week diligence process, which was like very, very demoralizing, I would say. And I learned to don't count your eggs before they hatch lesson, very clearly in that moment, because I was looking at places to purchase in Brooklyn to put a down payment on, and then that was kind of gone. So I would say those were the highs and lows, but yeah, it was a great experience all around.
Well,
Hey, Brian, I thought you were going to, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I thought Brian was going to say the legal process, because that's like when they're in the weeds and they dig into everything. Once you sign the letter of intent or the term sheet or the merger agreement, and then you go into all of the due diligence.
Yeah. And so I had to do it twice. And so the second time was a lot easier. I had all this stuff already ready to go. But yeah, we could probably talk.
Angie, what's the number one thing that you see people, entrepreneurs, I don't want to say misrepresent, but we're good salespeople. And sometimes when you look at the actual docs, it's not exactly the way that we've painted it. And again, we're still running short on time, but I'm curious, what's the one area where you often see that there's a bit of a mismatch in how things were represented when you actually do the diligence?
So startups are usually typically very sloppy. Their cap table is a mess. They don't have all their agreements in place, their assignments from their employees. They don't keep track of their IP. And then I don't think they really understand some of the terms of the license agreements that they've entered into with other companies. They don't understand IP and the license rights that they've given. Sometimes they've given away the kitchen sink and they haven't realized it. So those are the three things: cap table, IP, and I would say their employment, making sure that, I know that they're trying to move quickly, but making sure they tie the bow and make sure the company owns their IP, that whoever comes to work for them signs that appropriate assignment agreement, and so that they own their IP.
I think that's great advice. And for any of the students who are going to pursue some of these things commercially, make sure you have good, again, there are great resources around the table at Stevens and in other organizations, often subsidized or for free, that can help make sure you get these things right out of the gate, because it's a lot harder to fix it down the road. I really appreciate, I want to have someone, that we ended in a little bit of a negative tone of all the things startups get wrong. So I wonder if someone has some message of hope to send us off with before we move on to the winner. So make me call on Brian again.
So
go ahead.
I was going to say something. I was just going to say, we've invested in a lot of companies, and in the past few years, we've had companies be acquired by Intel, VMware, Facebook, couple companies acquired by Intel. So I think the future is bright. There's lots of money out there. This has been the biggest VC quarter right now for investment. There's tons of money out there. Go get it. SPACs are on fire if you want to go that route, but you have to be a little bit more mature of a company. But I think the future is bright right now for investments, and if you want to start a business.
Excellent. Well, maybe we will end on that as a higher note. But to be clear, make an impact on society, solve a real problem, take the friction out of something, and your business will grow, and eventually, hopefully one of these outcomes will happen for you. Thank you all very much for joining us. I really appreciate it. I think Sandra's going to demote you, but don't take it personally while we hang out with Nariman for a moment. But thanks again. We'll do our high five again. 1, 2, 3, boom. Really appreciate it. Stephen, there's only so much I can do to create energy on these things. I hope you're laughing with me. So Dr. Bavardin, how has your experience been in pandemic times in working with these projects and seeing this, this competition come to life?
Awesome.
Yeah. What have you been most inspired by from some of the student competition, the student projects?
I think for me, the most important thing is that our students pick projects that actually address real world problems. It's not only an intellectual exercise. Not all of them necessarily succeed in solving the problem to the fullest, but the problems are real problems. When actually, you may not know this, but a couple of days ago, we had a non-virtual Innovation Expo on Wednesday. It was a much smaller, much condensed version of the regular program, but we had about 20, 25 projects on display, and I went from one project to another. And as the students described the problem, I said to myself, this is phenomenal. Our world is fraught with problems, and we need to train and educate more problem solvers. So to me, that was an inspiration.
That's what I walk away with every year in hosting this, that I find myself very inspired by the solutions that students are coming up with that do address real world problems. It's a bit cliche, but it makes me feel comfortable that we're progressing things in the right direction for society, and it's good to see that there are some real good solutions, hopefully on the way. So Sandra, I want to make sure I'm staying to schedule here and not skipping sections, but I believe we're getting to the third place winner. Is that correct?
We are. I'm going to share my screen. I have like a little slide to kind of go with it. To just make sure this works. I was the judges are in suspense. Everybody's in suspense. I've kept these slides hidden. I've known it all day, and I've had to keep it very, keep it very quiet so everybody can see it all at once. All right. So if everybody's ready, I think we have the dean here who has the checks. I think are we all ready?
I think you're in charge of telling us if we're ready. So the answer is yes.
Sandra, am I supposed to announce this project?
Yes.
All right, I'm all set. Hey, Aaron, usually in the past, we used to
drum roll.
Yeah,
we did. We'll do it. It's already been revealed. I don't know if you're seeing on your screen, but for the other two, we are drum rolling, and I hope that those will do it with us.
I see. Very good. Listen, I'm immensely proud and very excited about all these projects that I've seen over the course of the past, 2 days. Things started on Wednesday, but I've been watching a lot of student projects today, and they're truly impressive. But having said that, with the help of wonderful judges that we had, I am delighted to announce the third place winner, Live Log Concussion Assistance. I probably will mess up the names of some of the students, but the members of this team are Izzy Engel, who was actually a student in my own class. Izzy, good to see you. Reagan Tarasovitz and Haley Tovey. And the advisor was Mukundan Iyengar. Mukund, it's great. You're doing it again. Instructor Ryan Ona, and the project focuses on assessing concussions objectively. And this project in particular identifies vision deficiencies through an accessible laptop-based assessment system. These assessments offer the precision and the accuracy of computer-based solutions used by optometrists without requiring any additional hardware, any additional training, or provider time to administer. So please join me in congratulating this wonderful team and the project for the third place award.
So I have their pitch video I was going to play, and then I thought we would, after the video plays, I think the students will say a couple words and they'll get their virtual check, if that's okay.
Very good.
Okay.
Sarah is a star forward on the Stevens soccer team. During a game, she jumps for a ball and collides head-on with her opponent. She feels dizzy and shaken up and is helped off the field. An athletic trainer performs a quick concussion evaluation. This includes a vision test to see how Sarah's eyes track a pen. The trainer sees nothing wrong and recommends Sarah rests until her headache goes away. But 1 year later, Sarah's still left with a host of problems. Spending more than 10 minutes in busy environments like the grocery store leaves her dizzy, nauseated, and with a headache for the rest of the day. Each year, 2,000 sports-related concussions occur in the NCAA, and 4 million occur throughout the US. Like Sarah, 1 in 10 patients will continue to have symptoms an entire year later due to vision dysfunction. But it doesn't have to be this way. Early intervention can help patients return to their everyday lives. My name is Izzy, and we're LiveLog. LiveLog is a simple, precise, and affordable tool which leverages a laptop's webcam and our machine learning algorithms to objectively measure functional vision. Computerized vision exams are the only way to reliably catch dysfunctional eye movements, which can occur in under a quarter of the time it takes to blink. Existing tools require custom hardware systems, which are too expensive for smaller university athletic departments. With LiveLog, the day after an initial sideline assessment, an athletic trainer simply directs their student athlete to our website, where in just 10 minutes, they complete a series of follow the dot exercises. Target tracking accuracy and analysis are uploaded to the athletic trainer's unique portal within seconds.
LiveLog gives athletic trainers objective data to make more informed diagnostic decisions and in a fraction of the time. And student athletes like Sarah are referred to the targeted therapies that they need to recover quickly and completely. LiveLog is improving the standards of athlete care at an annual subscription rate of $200 per student athlete. Our target market includes the sports medicine departments at the 700 plus NCAA Division II and III institutions. To accelerate adoption, we will offer a 6-month free trial. Within 3 years, we expect 47 schools to enroll 14,000 student athletes with LiveLog. This will generate $2.8 million annually. Next, we plan to take on the nearly 9 million high school athletes across the US. As a SaaS company, we are poised to do so with minimal overhead. And we're not just 3 college students. LiveLog is advised by leading doctors and optometrists from NYU Langone and SUNY School of Optometry. We've already worked with athletic trainers from Stevens, NJIT, and other area schools who are excited about spending less time diagnosing and more time healing with LiveLog. With our patent pending software, we are asking for $1 million in return for 15% equity. This will help fund FDA clinical trials and further software development. Join us and revolutionize concussion care with LiveLog.
Perfect.
Well done, and congratulations.
Excellent.
So I think we have Izzy, Reagan, and Haley here.
Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you so much.
I
guess, Reagan, do you want to, or, okay. Yeah, I guess we're just really excited to, I know this is like a huge problem for so many people. It was a huge problem for me. And, you know, our standard of concussion care is not where it should be at all. And so I'm excited that, you know, we're working to change that. And huge shout out to all of our advisors. Big thank you to Professor Ryan Ona, who worked with us a lot on this pitch. And then also Professor Mukundi Yangar and Professor Shuchen Yu, and then Dr. Chufreda and Dr. Mir Kapoor and Dr. Goodman, who advised us on this project. Yeah, Reagan, Haley, do you want to say anything? No. All right.
I think you nailed it, Izzy. Just thank you for all the support to everybody like in our IDE classes for getting us this far.
And yeah, I think Izzy covered most of our advisors and everyone we'd like to thank, but I also want to thank Izzy and Reagan because you guys really taught me so much this past year, and I think we worked really well, and I'm really proud of us. Yep.
Congratulations, job well done, very impressive pitch. Let's see why it stood out. I believe, are we moving on, Sandra? I don't want to cut anyone off early.
We have a check, I believe.
We have a check. The check is the most fun part. There it is.
And I think they want to do a screenshot photo for prosperity's sake. So I know that's the other
Yeah, Gene, we need to be able to see the number on that check.
How do I make it clearer?
If you just go a lot closer, it might show up.
Closer?
Yeah,
there you go.
Here you go. Yeah.
There it is. Maybe I should have hidden myself.
That's too close.
Close?
Yeah,
right there, right there.
Yeah.
Don't move.
All right. I guess 1, 2, 3, cheese.
Cheese.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you again.
Great job.
Congratulations, students. We are
Thank
proud of you.
you.
Thank you.
So I think, Aaron, this time you want to get the drum
This
roll?
time we'll get the drum roll. So for the runner up, are you ready? Here we go. You can hear that. Hopefully you can. I got a good mic. Go ahead, Naomi.
You're doing good. You're doing good. Thank you very much, Aaron. And Sandra, if you're ready, I am ready. You can put up the slide and I'll make the announcement for the runner-up. The runner-up is Tulip, taking the second place. Tulip is a project for those who plan to be a mom and are dissatisfied with the current breastfeeding trainers. Tulip offers a flexible, anatomically correct breastfeeding trainer that enables users to practice proper latching techniques. The students are from the biomedical engineering department. Advisor is Professor Vicky Hazelwood. Instructor, our own Matt Wade, and members of the team, Bora Bibe, Cyrus Merchant, Hannah Persley, and Concetta Spector. And I congratulate all of you and stop talking to hear your pitch.
After giving birth to my son, for 3 months, breastfeeding was my white whale. Every day I would bite back tears as I tried to feed my child with blistering nipples. I dreaded having to choose between nourishing my son and suffering excruciating pain or preserving my physical health. To choose between an emotional bond with him or resentment. These are not choices new mothers should be forced to make.
And Bora is not alone in this dilemma. Over 1/3 of new mothers struggle with breastfeeding 1 month postpartum due to an inability to correctly latch their child. Latching is when a baby attaches to the mother's nipple with outturned fish-like lips and a fluctuating open mouth. We came together as an engineering team to help moms master this complex mechanism. Let's say an expecting woman wants to gain practice in latching. Currently, her only options are a puppet or a baby doll with a static open mouth, similar to one a child would play with. Neither one of these options has effectively proven to help a struggling mother learn how to correctly position her baby's features. This is unacceptable. These women are growing new lives and deserve to have the necessary tools in order to do so.
Enter Tulip, our developed breastfeeding simulation system, which allows a new mother to authentically replicate the breastfeeding experience prior to having her child. The system, which includes a baby head model and nipple shield, uses tissue representative materials, an adjustable jaw, and pliable lips to give the user a comprehensive experience. Simply extending a mother's breastfeeding duration will reduce premature death rates and the development of mastitis, leading the US economy to save $3.7 billion, yes, billion with a B dollars in healthcare costs. Additionally, a new mother could save $1,000 out of her own pocket on baby formula if she continues breastfeeding. This money could be crucial to a new mother who is trying her best to manage so many new expenses.
Our plan is to license Tulip to a company such as Frida, a subsidiary of Procter & Gamble, who offers a suite of breastfeeding products and has already established a 60% market share with our intended customer base. With their distribution model focused largely on chain stores such as Walmart or Target, we will reach as many women as we can, as quickly as we can, and as cost effectively as we can. Tulip will be priced at $125, which is $75 less than its competitors, whose devices, mind you, lack the necessary functionality to help mothers effectively practice breastfeeding. And with low overhead and material costs, if only 1/4 of new mothers purchase Tulip in the first year, that translates to a potential net profit of $48 million. In order to launch this product, we require another 9 months to further develop and test our prototype. Therefore, we are seeking $250,000 for a 10% stake in our company, which we use to fund this additional research.
Tulip will revolutionize the preparation experience for expectant mothers and will allow for them to preserve the bonding moments that I missed out on. The women in your life deserve the support of kind, gentle, effective solutions. And with Tulip, they can be postpartum prepared. Thank you.
Nice job. Congratulations. Some acceptance remarks.
This is so exciting. We're so excited. This is a project that was really close to our team. And we want to thank our advisors, Becky Tucci, Vicky Hazelwood, Matthew Wade. Thank you so much for your help. All my teammates, they can say something now.
Absolutely same. Really, thank you guys, all of you, especially our TAs, Emily and Ming Zhao. And I want to give double kudos to Matt Wade. Without him, oh my God, we had no chance.
Yeah, thank you again to all of my wonderful teammates. It was a great year working on this project with everyone. Thank you to Dr. Hazelwood, Dr. Tucci, Matthew Wade, of course, and both of our TAs.
And I just wanted to say thank you to everybody, my teammates. Matt, thank you so much. Really, without your guidance, we would not have made it this far. Dr. Hazelwood and Dr. Tucci, if you're watching, thank you for your guidance throughout this year. And to our TAs, we really wouldn't have our prototype without you. And I wanted to thank my son, because without him, I wouldn't even know about this issue and I wouldn't be the woman that I am today. So thanks, Ali.
Congratulations. And I will say, I really appreciate the coordinated backgrounds. It's a nice touch.
Thank you.
I think we're ready for the check. Dr. Varden, any thoughts?
Well, I just wanted to add, in addition to having worked on an impressive project, I love the name of your project. It was very cleverly selected. And Hannah, I was watching you as you were watching yourself. And I think you did a terrific job. Congratulations to you for being such an animated speaker. I think the students deserve to get their check, though. Yes.
Here's the check.
No, you need to adjust that. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
No, a little closer. Yeah, now you're talking.
All right, everybody, 1, 2, 3, cheese. I think we're good.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations to all of you.
Thanks again.
See you at commencement.
Thank you.
Congratulations. So we're on to the winner of the competition. Very exciting times. Without further ado, and we could stall for a few minutes, but I think people are ready.
Well, I think we need a moment of suspense, because
we do need a moment of suspense.
It is a very, very important event, but if you can get your drum roll.
Here we go. Here's the moment of suspense with a little drum roll.
All right, very good. Everybody's ready? All right, Sandra, let's go ahead and put up the slide for the first place winner, which is Hip Tip. The winner, the lucky and happy winner of a $10,000 award from the Ansary Entrepreneurship competition. Hip Tip is a surgical planning tool for hip replacement. And as I was studying this project and learning more about it, I figured when it's my time to have my hip replacement, I want to have this device used. This is created by modifying a 3D dental scanner and building an analysis algorithm to actually determine femoral offset. This is a phenomenal contribution. I think there is a gigantic market for this, and I want to take this opportunity to congratulate those people who identified the problem and developed such a clever solution for it. The students, the advisor, and the instructor. Students are Faiza Chowdhury and Jake Fiore. Advisor, again, Professor Vicky Hazelwood, and instructor Martin Cohen. Congratulations to the Hip Tip team.
An aging population and a biomedical innovative surge have made total hip replacements most prevalent procedures in the orthopedic industry. While they have the potential to cause relief to a patient, it comes at a high cost, including fees for imaging, consultation, and physical rehabilitation, just to name a few. Imagine yourself as a hip implant recipient, believing that your new implant would improve your life indefinitely, only to find out when you've just begun to heal from your procedure that the implant has failed. You need to undergo a revision procedure, reigniting the cycle of high costs and stress. These revisions occur in about 15% of patients within 20 years. Our solution will decrease the cost of standard hip replacements, but also will eliminate the cost and pain associated with having hip implant failure and undergoing revision surgery. Our solution combines an intraoperative scanner and analysis software to create and analyze a 3D model of the top of the femur, which yields an accurate femoral offset measurement. This allows the surgeon to select the most accurate implant size for a patient, eliminating the problem of premature implant failure. To accomplish this, we are forming a joint venture with the company 3Disc Americas to modify their current dental scanner for our application. Currently, preoperative templating is used along with trial and error methods. This not only lacks precision, but it also adds cost from x-rays, trial parts, and most importantly, surgical time. The industry standard technique produces femoral offset within 3.2 millimeters. However, testing our prototype consistently yielded an offset within 2 millimeters of accuracy.
Our market includes over 25,000 surgeons in 188 medical schools, which we plan to reach through trade shows, medical conferences, and in-hospital sales. This device will be sold as a base package of a scanner, a laptop, and our software for $5,000 with an annual subscription of $1,000. We project $30 million in sales and $6 million in annual revenue. The main revenue will come from annual subscription and the sale of replacement parts, especially the device tip. The tip is the portion that will be replaced after each procedure for sterilization. Given that each hospital performs an average of 200 procedures per day, more replacement tips will be purchased by each customer. Because the tip is based on 3Disc's existing scanner, a 510(k) submission will allow for FDA approval within 6 months, shortening our time to market to 1 year. The hip tip will improve patients' hip function and increase the life of their implant beyond 20 years, while reducing exposure to harmful radiation from pre-op imaging. Hospital networks and orthopedic surgeons can save time and cost of scheduling pre-op appointments and cut the revision rate from 15% to 5%. This reduction in appointment time and revision procedures will save insurance companies and patients $3.6 billion annually. In summary, the hip tip will revolutionize how surgeons determine femoral offset and greatly improve patients' hip mobility. Our team is asking you for $100,000 for equipment to continue with improving the color detection and to perform cadaver testing within the next 6 months in exchange for 5% royalties from device sales. Thank you.
Congratulations, great job. And you're 10% of the way there on your funding.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. It wasn't that much effort and you just got 10% of the way. So best of luck. I wanted to congratulate you for a great choice of problem, for a beautiful solution, and a very compelling and very clear presentation. Great job.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to all of you for all your help throughout this expo, putting the expo together for us. I also want to say thank you to our advisors, Dr. Hazelwood, Dr. Valdivit, and Walter Galvez from 3Disc, as well as our ID professor, Marty Cohen. And I also want to say thank you to you, Jake, for being such a great teammate this semester. We're only one of the only teams of 2 in our biomedical engineering department, and we were given such a complex project, and I really am proud of the accomplishment that we've made.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate all our advisors, our TAs that helped us through it, our external advisor, as well at 3Disc for even helping us with the problem and solving the problem. And thank you for running this and all the judges and definitely our IDE professor as well. Thank you so much. This is so amazing, was unexpected. It means so much. Thank you.
Congratulations. I think we're ready for the tricky check shot. There, almost.
Try to focus.
There it is.
There it is. All right. 1.
Oh, it went blurry.
Yeah.
There you go.
1, 2, 3, cheese. Cheese, Jake. Got it.
Right. Congratulations.
Very good. Congratulations, everybody. So, Aaron, before you wrap it up, if you allow me, I want to say a couple of words.
Absolutely.
Is this the right time?
This is the right time.
So I just want to say that I'm immensely proud of the Stevens community. I want to thank you, Aaron, and Sandra, Manor, and Francis, I think, who's been with us, Matt. I thank all of you for having participated in organizing this event. I know there are many, many more who are behind the scene who've been working tirelessly for an extended period of time. This event would not have been possible if a lot of smart people had not worked for a long time to make it so seamless over Zoom. So I'm grateful to all of those who have organized the event. I am proud of the students. These projects are unbelievable to begin with, but we should not forget the fact that these problems came to these projects came to fruition during the pandemic year. During a year, students were not even able to get close to each other. During a year that faculty and students were far from each other. During a year that access to facilities and laboratories was more difficult than ever before. So they all deserve kudos for an amazing accomplishment. I want to take this opportunity to thank our faculty members, our mentors for having guided our students. And I was very impressed by the judges who participated in this. The discussion that we had at 4 o'clock, in my opinion, was extremely informative and enlightening. I want to thank all of the judges for having shared with us their experience and their wisdom, and of course their time. And those judges who were Stevens alumni, I want to say, in addition to thanking you, I'm immensely proud of you. You have had incredible accomplishments. And last but not least, I want to thank the Ansary family. Jan and Sai, I don't know if they're on this call and if they're watching the event. Thank you so very much for having established the foundation, for having supported activities of the type that we recognize today. And I want to thank Jan, Sai, Jeff, and Brad for being such great friends, personal friends, and friends of Stevens. Thank you all very much. And I'm going to pray every day for this event to be held in person next year. Please get vaccinated. Good to see you all.
Likewise. Thank you very much again for having me. I think that concludes the show officially. I really appreciate you having me join the show, inspiring yet again. I was reminded, someone mentioned in the Q&A, I'm not crying, you are, which is one unfortunate element of the Zoom version of this, where I recall fondly all the teams kind of jumping for joy in person. I look forward to having that happen sooner than later. So we'll close on one last high five. And if you're at home, even if you're watching, this is view only for you, you'll be with here in spirit. You can stand up if you want. High five the camera with us. And the count of 3, Nariman, everybody else, 1, 2, 3, boom.
Boom.
Stay safe, get vaccinated. And I hope to see you all in person soon.
Have a great day. Take care.
Congratulations, everyone.
Bye.